One thing that I think we might want to address, seems how this is our first time doing this, is why are we doing this? Kind of
Because people
hangout
have
slash podcast slash whatever you want to call it.
Do you know how many times over the years I've heard you guys should just sit around and talk?
Yep, same.
We've been
talking about doing this for a long time.
I did an update video, I think, at the beginning of last year, saying, yeah, we're working on a new show, podcast, sort of like we were talking around. And of course, it took until now for it to happen. But we've just purchased actually some new equipment to help with this.
No, that's true.
And actually, Rob, as I said before, and eventually, you know what? I'm just going to get a little video here of Rob.
I think Rob coming into the fold is kind of maybe pushed us to be like, you know what? We need to do a little more stuff. We want Rob more involved with what we're doing, and he's been involved with what we're doing for a while now. So, but we've been talking about this for years.
So, what got me to that point to where like, let's just do it, is Pixel Game Squad had started doing a podcast, which I watch and it's really good, and and it was just kind of a reminder.
Your mom is good
because nice to know. It was a reminder that we've been talking about this forever. It's like, what are we waiting for? Let's just do it.
You know,
they do a good job. You know, I think we could do our own thing, and people would sit and watch.
You know what we were waiting for? The space that we're sitting in here now.
Yeah,
really?
that too.
The space we're sitting in here now. Now that other place that you've seen on video, where it was the barn, where we did like the '80s set, it still exists.
It's still there.
But the floor is rotting away. It smells so bad because of that rotting wood, mildew. It gets hot in there, even with these two little AC units running. And then when we want to film, we have to turn both of those off, and it's like 100 degrees outside.
That's a good point.
It is depressing. It's depressing to shoot in there because it's just so miserable.
It is, it really is.
It's miserable. Having this space to be able to do this is absolutely, it's night and day.
Oh, yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
What do we want to accomplish though with this series, if you will? Just unload what's on our minds. Just
Sure.
Kind of
Yeah.
mental vomit.
Mental vomit. That's a good
I
one.
like that,
What
actually.
Actually, let's name it that.
Mental vomit. Okay.
Mental vomit. I
Mental
like it.
vomit.
I kind of like that.
YouTube will probably flag the video, but.
But one of the things, see, because like completely unnecessary podcasts. It's like there's structure there, there's a format, and it's like we've been wanting to do it, but I'm like, dude, we can't do that.
We won't do enough research to do something like that. That's our problem.
We don't have the structure or the mindset to do that.
Yeah, we don't.
Ain't nobody got time for that crap.
No.
But most podcasts do, but we don't.
We don't.
But I got to thinking, it's like, well,
Mental
why does
vomit.
it have to be so structured? You know, we could just
Exactly.
do our own thing. You know,
I think a topic or two to start and then just roll.
Where there's a
Yeah.
natural structure that kind of evolves. With the
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, and then like it won't always be like us three. There'll be other people coming in. Rob will be a part of the panel at times.
Maybe
I'm
we
sure
get
Dodongo
Dodongo
will
switching out,
be-
Tim, Rufus even at times.
Yeah, so
Who knows?
it'll be different people. Who knows? But yeah, just to get kind of a feel, and like there's gonna be like, I would say like the first few, it's like kind of experimental, like what topics do people want to hear,
Sure.
what people find boring, and then they'll let us know down below, like, do you want like specific
I was just
topics
about to say
covered?
that,
Yeah, make it easy for us because
Or-
that way we don't have
Look, at the beginning of this, I was like, I don't know, I don't even know what you're going to use at this point or not, but
Well, I'm using all of
I
it.
had said, I was like, I don't want to talk about video games. I'll talk about video games all day, honestly. But, I don't want to beat that dead horse every single episode. It's fine to talk about video games. I just want to talk about other things.
I don't like a formal structured podcast.
No.
Let's call this a hangout.
What are we going to talk about in this hangout? Well, how have we changed with collecting? I guess we'll keep it on topic somewhat.
Okay, no, we can talk about anything. Like, if you guys want to start with, how, like, what do you want to talk about? How the game has changed, or?
I mean, okay, so
Well, you know what? That's a good starting off point. How has collecting video games changed from a decade ago?
I mean, other than just being able to get things super cheap back then. Here's the thing, and here's why I brought it up, because I was just thinking about this the other day. Remember when I was first started collecting, it was all about, I need to get a complete collection. I gotta get a complete collection of NES. That was like, this rare game that I'm never gonna play. I have to have it on the shelf. And now I'm just like, I don't care. It's more about like what do I want to play? What means things to me, and that's really the gist of that.
So, I mean, yeah, like what's changed? It's way more expensive now, and yes, shows like ours are, part of the reason why. You can't find as much, and you can't find it cheap anymore. I mean, you still can.
There's more competition, more people looking.
Yeah, but we've had a few episodes lately where we have had cheap finds, even though they're not like super expensive rare games or anything. It's still it's awesome when you find something cheap. It's out there. You just got to look. But see, I'm kind of like you in that regard, where like it's not even so much about just wanting everything anymore. It's what do I want? What do I want to play?
Right.
With when we made the movie, I sold off a lot of stuff, and that kind of put me in a different mindset of collecting. And for me, it's not so much video games anymore as it's video game related stuff. I'd rather find a sign right now than a little Samson, a neon, or you know what I mean, something like that, or a box sign, or PlayStation 2 box sign, or something like that. I would rather find that kind of stuff than video games. And with streaming, sorry, I know you were about to say something.
No, it's fine.
But now with streaming, I stream a little bit different than most people. Most people will use a computer and emulate or whatever. I use EverDrives. So if I want to play a game, it's there. If I want to play Samson, it's there. So,
for the most part, like ROMs and stuff is fine, but like there's still things out there that like I just really like. I was like, I want to have that. I want to have the.
What the fuck? This is thoughts.
No, screw this guy.
Jesus.
He interrupted me. Okay, I was about to say something. It wasn't that taboo at one point though, emulating stuff.
It was kind of frowned upon a little bit, because like especially with your peer, no, you got to have the cartridge and I never really was like, I'd have rather had like a physical game, but me personally, if you want to play it how you can play it. If that's the only way you can do it is to download a ROM on your PC, then more power to you. I say just play.
And that's the thing. It's like if you find a game, especially like at a thrift store or something like that, I mean, it's not like the original publishers are getting the money anyway. So it's like you're just...
yeah. Shit, most of those are defunct at this point. So.
Yeah, exactly. But like I concentrate really on just the things that it means something to me, and boxes. I like boxes of games. I know I'm just paying a lot of money for cardboard. I get it, but it's cool to me.
Yeah, cool to me. I have, and for those who don't know, we made a movie. If you're new to this or you weren't keeping up or whatever, and part of that, again, like I said, we needed money, so I sold a lot of stuff. I went from 600 NES games, and I pared it down to 100. Like, what do I want to keep? What do I want to play? What, if my EverDrive breaks and I can't ever get a hold of one, if I want to play Baseball Stars, it's on the shelf. I can go pick it up.
How did that make you feel?
So here's the funny thing about that's a really good question. No. I know
yeah,
you're not.
you are.
No, I'm genuinely serious, because I would suspect like you'd almost feel like relieved, like lighter.
So here's what were you gonna say?
No, I'm just gonna be an ass, and like, you just seem like a psychiatrist right now.
I know that's how it came
that's how you said it for sure.
I know, but that's not how I meant it.
No, that's actually a really good question, and I struggled with that decision for a long time. A really long time. I struggled with the decision on whether or not to sell some stuff off, but I knew we needed money, right? And I was talking.
It gets easier. It's like that first one.
Well, this is the thing though. I was talking with Jay from Bad Graphics, and he was like, "Hey, take a console you don't care about, sell that. Something you don't play, something you don't care about, sell that. See how you feel about it."
Master System.
I was like, okay. So I had actually taken Master System. I had taken, believe it or not, at the time I really wasn't that big into Super Nintendo.
I knew you were gonna say that.
Now, just with streaming and whatnot and playing Super Nintendo a lot on stream, that's changed. It's a good. I never said it was a good, bad console. I just said it really wasn't my thing. Back in the day, it was Genesis. But I was like, you know what? I really wish I didn't get rid of my Turtles in time. I really wish I didn't get rid of my Donkey Kongs. I've since gotten those games back. But I sold the stuff like Master System, Sega CD, Dreamcast, like stuff that I never played, Saturn and whatnot. And when you leave a convention with the water cash, you know what I mean?
No, I don't. I don't. I end up going in with $50 and leaving.
True. Well, start selling. But when you leave a convention with a wad of cash and you're like, okay, this is going to go towards this movie and it's going to go to something good, it became a whole lot easier. So then it became easy for me to start taking everything and going, okay, what do I want to keep? So I did that with my Genesis collection. I might have had, I don't know, it wasn't very big, 100, 120 or something. I pared that down to maybe 15, 16. And then again, NES, I went from 600 to 100. And for those of you wondering, yes, I do still have like the Cheetahman or the Action 52 that Jason Relaxation gave us in Canada and stuff like that. Yeah.
I mean, I sold quite a bit of stuff, but not as nearly as much as you.
Yeah.
I mean, I sold some heavy hitters though. I mean,
I don't have Samson. My Samson's gone.
Power Blade 2. What else? I had not the Flintstones. I was not selling Flintstones. I had to keep Flintstones, but
There's memories attached to some of those lines as well. But I think it is interesting though, the kind of, I think when a lot of people get into collecting something, a lot of it is like, maybe it's nostalgia, maybe it's just a joy of collecting and like you're excited. There's an excitement about it that I think kind of, with not too much time, kind of turned into, okay, well, you almost start to become a completionist.
Well, yes, that's what happens.
And
it's more about, hey, what can I find that's rare?
Yeah.
Just because it's more about like a treasure hunt.
Yeah.
Than the actual. It's so easy to get swept up into that trap. Mm-hmm. Not that it's a bad thing. I mean, if that's how you want to go about it, it's fine. But
that initial almost joy that you felt, becoming a collector and getting some of that stuff again,
right,
kind of gets replaced with a different mindset.
Exactly, that's what happened. Because I started collecting the carts again because my grandfather had passed away. He gave us the NES, and so I'm like, I started playing the emulations, doing the ROMs on my computer, and then I'm like, you know what? I'd like to get the actual physical carts because I don't know what the hell happened to our original stuff. And then I ended up getting that and started being like, well, now I got to get this one and this one and this one and that one, and then eventually it led to. Man, there's this rare game on the NES. I never played it, but it's rare. I gotta have it. And then it just led to just like a snowball effect.
So what changes? Like it's not as fun, right? And do you just not realize that?
No, I think
It's still fun.
The thing we always say, the thrill of the hunt. That's always fun. You know what I mean? Going out with the boys and trying to find something. It doesn't have to be video games, and that's the thing.
Sure.
If video games are stale, there's been several times throughout the last 12 years that we've been doing this on YouTube where I'm like, you know what? I'm just not really into collecting games right now. I would rather focus on toys, or I'd rather focus on vinyl, or I'd rather focus on whatever. And I always come back to it, and usually around the time I'm getting to that point where I'm like, man, video games are stupid, we go out and we have really nice scores, and it's like, all right, it kind of like recharges me.
Well, yeah, because there's so many flea markets around here, and they have just whatever you can think of.
Yeah.
I mean, just like it could be like a random board game or just some random like electronic or something that you haven't really even thought about. There's been so many times I've gone to the flea market and just seen something. I mean, like I have not even thought about that.
Yeah.
And
Same.
Like I forgot it even existed. Last time I saw that I was maybe like 10 years old, and here it is in front of me.
Same. So yeah, why you say, your focus may shift on what you're collecting, but the actual act of collecting is still fun for me. I mean, you guys have seen where I live. You know how it is.
Yeah.
Has it
stuff.
ever become not fun? Because I would think that there's a unique mindset I think that people who collect have.
When it's 100 degrees outside.
Yeah,
we're not finding
fun,
anything.
right? Because we have to be out in it filming and spending. You've been with us on days like that.
Like you got to take a break from collecting to kind of recharge your batteries.
No, not really. But I will say this: it was more fun when we didn't shoot the show, because when you're shooting the show, there's that added stress of, well, we got to make sure that there's content, in here. There's an added stress of like, what if we don't find anything? Then I'm not going to have an episode to put up this month. Mm-hmm. That is extremely stressful. And whenever we do find something that's caught on film, I'm like, oh my God, now I can relax. Well, I have something that I can put up.
Stressful to the point of staging finds?
Well, obviously not, because we would have some good stuff.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if there is that one, that was that one time, of course. I mean, confession that I drove 13 hours away, found an abandoned store, filled it with a bunch of pigeon poop and video games, and then claimed I found it just on
I knew
accident.
I knew it.
There was that one time.
I can't believe that popped up as a point of discussion
You know,
in the comments.
to change subjects, I think that's something that I don't really fault people for thinking, oh, these guys are staging or this is fake because of the format that we decided to go with, versus the guys who are like guerrilla style, you know, with their phones and stuff, just going around.
Yeah, but that can be fake doing it that way too. Like,
I get it. You know,
There's a stigma that comes with.
of course, no, I get it. It's just like when we go
that
in with a
reality
camera,
style, you know, because,
people will be like, "Hey, what are you doing?" But if someone's on their phone, nobody questions that.
But I think that people who watch for any amount of time, they realize, you know, I mean, it was a different ball game 10 years ago when you were finding Flintstones for $5 in a store because the knowledge wasn't there, the demand wasn't there, people didn't really know anything the way they do now.
Mm-hmm.
Shows like us, you mentioned, shows like ours have definitely kind of hurt finding those gems out in the wild for $2 a piece, you know.
But ultimately, I just think it was going to happen because everything old
I think it just
becomes new
accelerated
again.
stuff,
No,
yeah.
I don't disagree with that. I can't argue with
agree.
that.
It was.
Yeah, I can't
it
argue
was
with
due
you.
Well, it's-
regardless.
It's basic supply and demand. We added to the demand.
Yeah.
And then when you add to
don't
the
really
It
demand-
know,
exposed it probably to a larger
yeah, I'll agree with that for sure.
I mean, there's
amount
just
of people looking for that decided to look for the stuff than probably would have if the internet didn't exist.
right. Well, I mean, as I was saying,
But it
like,
was going to happen regardless.
there's a bunch of people that watch it and say, I started collecting because of your show,
Yeah.
which added to the demand. So that's part of it.
I had a complete 64 collection,
I know.
all of it gone.
Well, now you get to start from scratch.
See, and that's the other thing, and I was going to mention that at some point, I'm probably going to be like, you know what? I think I might want to start building this back up again. And honestly, it's new content for us, right? Because it's getting harder. So
That's true.